Now let's run our first unit test. Our user can now be able to view blog posts if he visits the correct route like this. But then imagine displaying the created at field for the particular post every single time and using this long method. So what we're going to do is write a unit test that is going to abstract this to a method that we can just call created or something like that. Okay, so we're going to have post created, or we can call this created at whatever. And this is going to actually give us a little bit of flexibility on this complex way of writing this. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a unit test. So php artisan make test, and this is going to be post test. And like we said, if it's a unit test, we need to pass in the unit flag. And now we are creating a unit test because everything works well in our feature, but we want to give ourselves an easier way to display dates rather than using such long methods. That's why we're using a unit test. So we have our post test, and I'm just going to clean up this boilerplate and create mine public function test, and we're going to say can get created at formatted date. So what do we do for our testing? First, we need to arrange some stuff, right? And then act, and then assert. So what do we do for our arrange step? We'll just create a post, and then for our act step, we get the value by calling the method, and then for our assert, we assert that returned value is as we expect. So remember, our unit tests help us test the functionality of a particular method or a class. So we're going to be calling a method and making sure that it returns what we want it to return. Let's create a post. For creating a post, I'm just going to head over to my view a blog post and copy what I have here. Paste that in. Now I have a post. Let me just use a post at the top. And then after creating a post, we need to act, right? And our action is get the value by calling a method. And the value we want to get is formatted date is equal to post. And we call created at as a method, and it should return to us a formatted date. And then we assert, this assert equals, it's a PHP unit method. And we're going to assert that the date that was returned from here is actually as we expected. So the date we expect is what we have in our view right now, which is this. So I'm just going to grab that, copy, and then head over, paste that in, and then make sure that it's equal to formatted date. So we make sure that this value actually equals the formatted date method. So we are trying to make sure that our formatted date method actually returns exactly what we want it to return. So let's go ahead and give this method a group so we can run it individually. So group is going to be formatted date. Let's head over to our terminal and run that. Formatted date is going to be the group. Let's run that test. And base table of view not found post. That's because we didn't use our migration. Let's go ahead and use it. Use database migrations. Run that again. And we have call to undefined method created at. And what happens is it's saying it can't find it in the query builder class, but we actually are calling it on a post instance because the post instance extends the model class, and the model also extends the builder class. And so Laravel checks if this method is on the post class. If it's not, it checks on the model, and then if it's not, it also checks on the builder, and it can't find it, so it tells us that method does not exist. So let's head over to our post.php and create that method. Public function created that, run it again, and right here we have field asserting that null matches expected June 30th 2017. So what we're gonna do right here is simply return exactly the same thing we have in our view, right? Because this is what we want. So return this, and obviously we're gonna be changing this to this and putting a comma right there, and this method is gonna help us return the pretty formatted date. Let's run that again, and sure enough we have a successful test. But now in our views, we don't need to write all of this when we're trying to get the created at date. We just need to write this method. So it looks neater. You call a created at method, it automatically formats that for you and returns you the result, right? And we've been able to drive that functionality using a unit test. So awesome. Now you're gonna find a lot of use cases for actually writing unit tests for your models, because you don't want to have a lot of complicated stuff. Let's say you want to have a method that returns the full name of a user by concatenating the first name and the last name. You don't want to concatenate the first name and the last name every time in your views, but what you want to do is actually create a method on your model, or you can also create a Laravel attribute or an accessor which uses a little bit of Laravel magic, and make sure that when you call that method or attribute or accessor, it returns to you the expected value. And then once your test passes on that class, you can be able to use it anywhere in your project.